Rob Manfred issued his punishment for the Red Sox. Obviously, we know and most of the offseason around Major League Baseball has been surrounded by the Astros and their punishment, which was obviously having their general manager and manager suspended for a year. And then they were subsequently fired, a loss of a few draft picks and a fine. I thought personally that the Astros punishment was enough. It got to a point early on where Rob Manfred, it was basically he had two options: either interview players, not guarantee immunity, which means that players will get punished for the testimony they give, basically not get a straight answer from any of them because they don't want to incriminate themselves, and we'll never really know truly what went on. We'll never know how the device was created, how their system worked, and basically there could be a slap on the wrist because Rob Manfred will never get accurate testimony as to what happened. And the other option was to grant immunity, which he did, got the full story. I think now it's more important for MLB to understand how this happened, the motivation that happened, and how technology was used against Major League Baseball in order to help the Astros cheat. So with immunity granted, players weren't going to get in trouble. I agree with that because I think it's more important for the future of the game, not just currently, but for the future of the game, to understand how cheating is going on and to try to get ahead of it as much as possible. To where now, at least going forward, I think Rob Manfred can implement a system, a punishment system, to where players will be held accountable. I think you got to get a baseline, got to figure out how it works, and from there, I think you can start to schedule out and put suspensions in place going forward, which I totally agree with. I think that's what will happen. So the second shoe to drop was the Red Sox, because right when the Astros scandal was going on, the investigation was going on, there was a report that came out that the Red Sox in 2018, led by Alex Cora, who's the man in 2017 who devised the Astros cheating scandal, came to the Red Sox in 2018. Well, they were cheating different ways. They used their video room a little bit differently. There's no trash can banging per se, but they were basically decoding signs in the video room and passing it along like a game of telephone. You know, one guy in the video room tells a coach tells a player, the player then tells whoever's on second base, hey, listen, the third sign is the one, and they can kind of decode it from there. So it's a little bit, harder of a system, again, especially when you're playing telephone. As we know, we all played that game. It's the messages could get a little mixed, but for the most part, that's how they are operating. It's by game of telephone and passing, the third sign is the real sign going forward, and they only use it when players were at second base, where the Astros, as we know, used it anytime they decoded it. No one on, runners on, anytime that they could bang a trash can and figure out that they were going to do it. So a little bit less egregious, let's say. Made the way punishment had to come about, and that was not much. MLB yesterday announced that only replay room operator, his name is JT Watkins, which Rob Manfred basically figured out through all this interviews and testimony that he was the main man that acted on all this. He was the one who was decoding signs during the game and passing it along, but he also came to the conclusion that basically JT Watkins acted on his own. He wasn't guided by Alex Cora or someone in the front office of the Red Sox to do this. Players weren't encouraging him to do it. He basically, how it's painted by the commissioner, is that this guy, JT Watkins, sitting in the replay room, took it upon his own intuition to decode signs during the game and pass it along to players. And apparently, coaches, front office were unaware of this going on, and somehow the players were unaware. Rob Manfred said that there was really no way for them to know whether the decoding signs that were being passed out were stuff that he was allowed to figure out before the game, which is legal, or during the game. I have a tough time believing that, but either way, so their replay room operator is suspended for the rest of the 2020 season and 2020 playoffs, if that happens. And 2021, he's allowed to return, but he's not allowed to work in the replay room. And on top of that, Alex Cora banned for the 2020 season. But that's also interesting because that stems back to his time as the Astros. He's not banned for at all anything he did with the Red Sox. It is strictly because he was really the ringleader back in 2017 with Houston. And for that, now they wanted to wait to see what his involvement was in 2018 to see if a heavier punishment had to be levied. Rob Manfred did not find that Alex Cora did anything wrong in 2017, or I should say, 2018. And that's why he's banned for the 2020 season, but only from what he did with 2017, nothing in 2018. And the Red Sox was a second round pick. So they lose a draft pick. Alex Cora is banned. He was already fired, but he's now banned for the rest of the year. And they lose basically a replay room operator for a full season. So there's at least, I have a few questions for this for sure, because I don't really understand how Rob Manfred could think that Alex Cora back in 2017 was so smart, so ahead of technology that he devised this scheme to have a camera planted on the catcher's signs and bang a trash can in order to relay the signs and tell the hitter what's coming in real time, then win a World Series, go to the Red Sox the very next year, and not bring any sort of sign-stealing ideas to Boston. I have a really tough time thinking that all the success that he saw in Houston in 2017, winning a World Series, saw how important it was and saw how much of an advantage the hitters got once they knew what sign was coming. So all of a sudden in 2018 say, I'm good. I'll leave what I did in Houston. I'm going to play clean here. No cheater, no one who gains the system just stops all of a sudden out of nowhere just because they feel like it. I don't believe he stopped, and I have a hard time believing that the replay room operator acted on his own, let's say, right? Seems like a normal guy like you and me. I mean, I don't really see how, you can kind of put all the blame on him as a bad actor, let's say, or he's doing this. And not only is he doing this, he's doing it secretly to where even the players, I don't know if he's doing this. Is this legal, not legal? And having, the coaches unaware of what's going on. I have a very, very tough time believing it. But I guess the Red Sox story was enough to where he basically put all the blame on him. They had a fall guy, and now JT Watkins is the one who takes the blame. Again, I don't believe it, but that's what Rob Manfred says. What happened? Alex Cora is a clean man in Boston. Fine, whatever you want to say. But more importantly now, this is kind of all water under the bridge because it's now important at least to go forward. How can this be fixed? Because technology only is going to improve. It's only going to get easier and easier to kind of have use technology in a way that can't be detected, can't be decoded. And now at least it'll be easier to find a different way to how to relay signs to hitters or relay to them what pitch is coming. And part of this, I think, how it can be fixed is twofold. One, punch the players moving forward, like I said. Now that the schemes are understood, now that we know kind of how teams and players can use video, you need to use that information against them, be one step ahead as much as possible, and hold the players responsible. And what I would do, I said this right when everything came out, not, going forward, I think there should be severe punishments similar to what PED punishments are right now. So going forward, starting whenever the season starts, there should be a policy in place to where if a player or players are caught cheating using video somehow, do it like you do with PEDs. 50 games suspension for the first offense, 100 games suspension for the second offense, third time is lifetime ban. 3 strikes and you're out. 50 games is a significant punishment. I think you see the PD use go rapidly down once punishments were actually put in place and once MLB started cracking down on it to where now it's pretty rare and pretty shocking that players actually test positive or something. So if you put a same sort of policy in place to where cheating is not tolerated, you cheat, boom, you're going to get nailed. I think a similar 50, 100 lifetime ban suspension would be at least enough of a deterrent that players would think twice about trying to, use cameras to their advantage. And two, another thing I would do, I personally would just ban video altogether. I mean, players right now are allowed to go back to the video room, watch their at-bats previously, and kind of see how the pitcher pitched them, right? And obviously now with coaches' challenges also being in place, you have a replay operator similar to like in football to where you can have someone up in the booth, watch the video and say, oh, that's a close play at first base. I think he was safe. Let's challenge it. Right? Football and baseball are the two sports where you have someone upstairs watching the replay and watching a live feed. And if a coach needs to challenge it, they can relay to him that, yes, let's challenge it. I would just ban video altogether. To me, players, especially batters, do not need to have video in game. Because all this does is just lead to temptation like we saw teams get carried away with. And I do believe that the Astros and the Red Sox weren't the only 2 teams cheating. I think it's one of those things where almost every team in one way or another was trying to gain an edge. Maybe, and I do think that at least no team went as far as the Astros did. But there are definitely ways you can cheat, similar to what the Red Sox did, where you can kind of do it slyly or not egregiously to where, you can gain an advantage here or there. Obviously, the Astros did it for every pitch of every inning, for every game they used it. But there are ways that you can kind of game the system and at least get an advantage using technology that, sure, is breaking the rules or the lines blurry. Possibly. MLB didn't really do a great job of kind of drawing a line in the sand, let's say, and saying this is cheating, this is not cheating. So I'll just get rid of it altogether. Get rid of all the temptations, ban video altogether. Do not allow, have it like in college football, we have a sky judge, let's say, right? Every play, there's no more coaches' challenges. So you have no one in the video room kind of monitoring it. Should they challenge it? Should they not challenge it? Everything goes to review with the sky judge. They can stop play. If not, just keep on going. So no player or coach's challenges, I should say. Do not let players access video during the games. And for me, at least, by taking this temptation away, it really hurts and limits what teams can do to get an edge. And worst case, if players push back on this too much, and they're so used to seeing video of pitches after they're at bat and want to learn it, and this is something that MLB is not comfortable taking away from them. How come we can't do it like what the NFL has, right? The NFL has tablets on the sideline to where players can come right off the field. They can see what formations the defense was in, what happened once the ball was snapped, right? They can see live video of the plays that just happened. How come we can't do that with baseball? To where, sure, players can go back, in the dugout, watch a tablet in the dugout. Do not let them go back to the video room. Just watch in the dugout. Give them tablets where they can replay the at-bat they just had, but don't allow live feeds and don't allow a camera angle that shows the catcher signs. And if we can have it in the NFL, in a league that's so paranoid, in a league that tries every single way possible to get an advantage, right? Every single team tries to get an advantage one or another. You have teams like the Patriots who really push push the edge and push the line and sometimes cross it. But you have other teams, again, that I think that try to do the same thing, but a little more under the radar. So if you're able to have teams on the sideline look at video, access what they just watched, but not use it in a way that they can gain an advantage in real time, where they're not looking at the coaches signaling in, or they don't have a camera on, the offensive coordinator talking, signaling in a play. Do that in baseball. There's no reason you can't do it. Allow players to get video, but don't allow them to have access to the catcher signs, and don't do it where they can access live video in real time. That's what I would do. This is most important, right? You can say what you want, and a lot of people are upset about Rob Manfred's punishment, or lack of punishment, I should say, for the Astros and for the Red Sox. That's, it's in the past. I, for the most part, do agree. I think granting players immunity was the right move. But now going forward, it's more important that now you know that this cheating is going on. You know that teams are using technology to their advantage and pushing the line and breaking the rules to do so. How can you make sure it doesn't happen going forward? I think either banning it altogether, taking a replay out, and taking away coaches' challenges is enough to where you can prevent teams from even having the ability to cheat, and then not alone also putting in place some harsh punishments for players and coaches who try to break the rules anyway. Because as we know, rules are meant to be broken. Teams are still trying to gain an advantage. Give them every little resource possible in order to break the rules is what I think MLB should do. So I'd love to get your thoughts. Again, I know it's a football-heavy, draft-heavy show. But I'd love to get your thoughts, again, if you care about the MLB suspensions at all, and if there's a better way that you think of that I'm not thinking of, the MLB could try to limit cheating going forward. Because this really has to be the main question now. We have to move forward and say, how can we make sure this doesn't happen again and doesn't tarnish the game like it did? MLB has really done a poor job, whether it's the Black Sox in 1919 or the steroid era or now with technology, of getting out ahead of different ways that players and teams try to cheat. They've done a very poor job. They're mostly reactive, not proactive. Like these kind of ways will help you be proactive and, again, give teams less incentive to cheat. I think that's absolutely the right way to go.